I hope he's a man of his word and it comes off and we get the fight. I know it was mandated by the WBO, and I know him or his team at least came out not too long ago to say, look, they were keeping an eye on the fight and they were happy to take on the winner. So yeah, I believe him to be a man of his word as well. So yeah, 2026, hopefully we'll see Usyk.
Tyson Fury didn't hold back when giving his thoughts on a possible Oleksandr Usyk versus Fabio Wardley clash, and what he said has everyone talking.
Do you give Fabio a chance against Usyk?
Listen, Usyk's a special talent. He's a good boxer, but listen, Fabio's a big dangerous puncher, and I'm sure if he hits anybody, he'll knock him out.
After witnessing Wardley pull off a stunning background win over Joseph Parker, Fury called Usyk special, but also admitted that Wardley might have the kind of power that could change everything in an instant. Coming from a man who's been in the ring with Usyk twice, those words carry serious weight. Wardley's shock victory at the O2 Arena in London on Saturday night has suddenly transformed him from underdog to frontrunner for a massive fight with the undisputed heavyweight champion. In a dramatic 11th round finish, Wardley stopped Parker to grab the spotlight and possibly a future date with Usyk. Parker had been in control for much of the fight, using his experience and steady pressure to stay ahead on the scorecards, but Wardley's trademark resilience and late round power flipped the script completely. Some fans debated whether the stoppage came a bit early, but it didn't change the fact that Wardley got the job done and in style.
Was it a premature stoppage? Yes. Was it the worst one I've ever seen? Absolutely not. Even Andy Lee in the post-fight press conference, they asked him about the stoppage and if it was premature, and he goes, there was opportunities for for the ref to step in, and guess what? He did. He's like, we should have thrown more punches, kind of situation, and I have to agree with that. And that's one of those fights where when I watched it, I felt like the stoppage was coming. Okay, when it did actually happen, I was like, he could have let that go. I would have liked to see a little bit more than that. But then I went back and I watched it again on Sunday, and I was like, yeah, well, he was not throwing back. There was opportunities for him to make it so you're not going to want to stop this fight. I think at some point it was like 40 punches thrown by Wardley and like 3 thrown by Joe Parker. And finally he picked it up at the end and threw a couple of shots, but the ref had already decided to stop the fight. But also you got to think, it is the 11th round. These are big, dangerous heavyweights. And
nobody's cutting weight.
Nobody's cutting weight, but also, these guys have been landing. And Joe got hurt a couple times during the fight. They hurt each other multiple times throughout the fight. So it was a damaging fight with 2 big guys, two dangerous punchers. It's always better to be too soon than too late with a stoppage. That's always my take. And even I have to look at the reactions of both Parker and Andy, his coach, afterwards, and they weren't screaming robbery. They weren't screaming Bloody Murray. They weren't screaming that this is the worst thing ever. That kind of tells you a little bit too. It's just it is boxing. Andy said that. I said, that's sometimes how it happens in boxing.
Fury, having felt Usyk's skill firsthand in their back-to-back bouts in 2024, was clear about what makes the Ukrainian such a unique talent. Yet, he also made it clear that anyone facing Wardley can't afford to get comfortable. According to Fury, Wardley's strength, grit, and power make him a live threat for anyone in the division. He praised Wardley's performance against Parker, dismissing critics who questioned the Brit's lack of amateur experience. To Fury, raw strength, courage, and determination mean more than a long amateur background, something Wardley proved in London.
He's very strong and he carries his power for a long time, so he did really well. Congratulations to him, because everyone was saying before this fight, oh, he's had no amateur experience. It means shit amateur experience. George Foreman had 11 amateur fights and won the gold medal. So it doesn't mean nothing, to be fair. You're a big, strong man, big game man, done very well. So congratulations to him and his team. Well done.
Wardley's rise has put the entire heavyweight division on alert, including fellow Brit Moses Atuma, who also had something to say about the fight. But perhaps the most colorful reaction came from Derek Chisora, who knows both Usyk and Wardley better than most. Having gone the distance with Usyk and spent countless rounds sparring with Wardley, Chisora had predicted that Fabio would stop Parker. And he was right. After the fight, Chisora couldn't hide his admiration for the Ipswich fighter, giving him full credit for pulling off what many considered an upset. Still, when asked if Wardley was ready to take on the division's undisputed king, Chisora didn't hesitate. He made it clear that while Wardley is tough and improving, a clash with Usyk right now might be a step too far. He suggested Wardley takes on Daniel Dubois first, elite level, before facing a technician like Usyk.
Derek, do you think he can beat Usyk?
No, you won't beat Usyk.
What should he do next?
Take some time. Have a fight with Daniel.
Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, that's a fight for you.
Even so, Wardley's victory has clearly shifted the landscape. Before the Parker fight, it was widely believed that the winner would be the next in line for Usyk, and now with the dust settled, Wardley is officially called for the fight. His promoter Frank Warren wasted no time either. He's already pushing to make it happen in March 2026. Warren, who knows Usyk well after promoting Tyson Fury in their 2 meetings, sees big potential in Wardley's challenge. He described Wardley as a fighter who's improving fast, boxing smarter, and showing better composure. Warren's confident that if Wardley lands clean, he can cause serious problems for anyone, even someone as gifted as Usyk. And from a promotional standpoint, he sees it as a massive event for the UK, one that could fill arenas and capture global attention.
Great fight. Fabulous fight. We always knew it was going to be, and it's what we said from the start. It only takes 1 second with him, and he turns the fight round.
Thank you. Does that mean it's Oleksandr Usyk next for Fabio?
Sorry?
Is it Oleksandr Usyk next for Fabio?
It is. If he doesn't do it, then he will be stripped and he'll be declared champion. Fabio is now the WBA and WBO interim champion. So that's it now. That's where we are.
And for Joseph Parker, obviously put it all on the line tonight. Could have kind of sat on his hands and waited for this opportunity. Disappointing for him, but what could be next?
World champion. Hey.
Yeah, he did, and and I take my hat off to him for doing that. You know, he's a fighting man, real fighting man, and done what he had to do.
When do you expect to make Usyk?
Where am I going? Am I going the right way?
When do you expect to make Usyk Wardley?
When do I expect to make it? It won't be till next year. So let the dust settle and we'll start the negotiations and go from there.
What about Dillian White versus Chisora? How close are we to that fight?
I think that happened. It's he's got 2 over him, hasn't he? So it's going to be his 50th. He won't want to lose that. You know, you've got 2 absolute foes going to get it on again.
Meanwhile, another familiar face in the boxing world, Dave Ellen, also gave his take on the possible matchup. Having sparred with Usyk himself, Ellen knows just how difficult the Ukrainian can be to deal with in the ring. On his YouTube channel, he admitted that he didn't expect Wardley to beat Parker and had to hold his hands up after being proven wrong. According to Ellen, Wardley's hard conditioning and punching power make him an unpredictable opponent, but when it comes to facing Usyk, he couldn't see him getting close enough to win. Still, he refused to completely rule him out, pointing out that Wardley's improvement has been rapid and he continues to surprise people.
Now Wardley Usyk. You can't rule that man out, to be honest. He's that fit, that tough, punches that hard, and he has the want to punch. That you just couldn't rule him out. But could I see him beating Usyk? Not really. I couldn't see him getting anywhere near him. But I was certain Park would beat him. So yeah, I've got all my hands up. I was very, very, very wrong. He's getting better all the time, and that's the thing about inexperienced kids. They do get better and better all the time. But he's just... I watched him through the fight and I thought, while he was getting beat, I just thought, very fit, very strong, very athletic, reflexes are that good. Yeah, fair play. There's not many can do what he's done with the inexperience. I'm very, very impressed with his athleticism.
Usyk, who has already cemented his legacy with dominant win over names like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Daniel Dubois, remains unbeaten across 2 divisions. His skill, movement, and ring IQ have kept him one step ahead of every challenger. But as Wardley's knockout streak grows and his confidence soars, the idea of him testing Usyk's chin doesn't seem as far-fetched as it once did. Fans are already imagining how that fight could unfold, the slick technical brilliance of Usyk against the raw aggression and heavy hands of Wardley. After his big night, Wardley spoke openly about what he wants next. He told Sky Sports that he hopes Usyk will honor his word and take the fight, reminding everyone that the WBO has already mandated the matchup.
One of the generational talents, one of the best to ever do it, on all the marbles. There's nothing more I could ask for. There's nothing more I could want within this sport. So, just like everything else that's led me here, all I've ever asked for is the opportunity, and I've got that. And I'm not planning on stopping here. I'm not planning on getting in the ring with Usyk and going, look, thanks for having me, and just rolling over. That's not what I'm about. I think you saw that tonight. So, yeah, look, when that bell does go, me and Usyk do finally get in the ring, he's gonna have to work for it. Tell Usyk to turn up, give him the directions to Ipswich. I'll give him my postcode, he can come find me and we can do it in the garden, but I don't care. Like, as long as he's there, bring his belts, let's get this on.
For Wardley, this isn't about disrespect, it's about belief. He acknowledged Usyk's greatness, but said that once the bell rings, it's just 2 men in a ring. And in his mind, any man he faces is beatable. Wardley's undefeated record now stands at 20 wins, 1 draw and 19 knockouts, an impressive resume for someone once criticized for his lack of amateur experience. His confidence is sky high, and his attitude reflects the mindset of a fighter who truly believes destiny is on his side. For him, 2026 could be the year he steps onto the biggest stage of all.
Yeah, look, it can't be understated. How good he is as a boxer and how much of a talent he is, but ultimately I have self-belief. I don't care who it is. He's at the bare bones of it, he's just a man across the ring with 2 arms, the same as me. So any man that steps in that ring with me, I can defeat.
While excitement builds for a possible Usyk versus Wardley showdown, not everyone in Usyk's camp is enthusiastic about the idea. Oleksandr Usyk, Usyk's close friend, business partner, and former promoter, believes the champion has nothing left to prove and nothing to gain from facing Wardley. Usyk, who's been by Usyk's side for years, argued that the Ukrainian should follow in the footsteps of Lennox Lewis. In his view, Usyk's accomplishments have already secured his legacy. He's become undisputed at both cruiserweight and heavyweight, achieved everything possible in the sport, and built a reputation as one of the best fighters of his generation. Usyk doesn't see the logic in risking that legacy against a challenger who, while dangerous, isn't yet a global superstar. He questioned whether the financial incentives for such a fight would even be worthwhile, saying that unless a miracle investor offered an astronomical purse, there's simply no reason for Usyk to continue.
What do you want Usyk to do? Do you want him to fight Fabio Wardley based on the fact that he beat Daniel Dubois so convincingly? Showed sign of aging.
I'm public in my position. I want Usyk to retire as fast as it's possible. I was even against his fight with Dubois, but okay, fighting Dubois makes some sense, becoming triple undisputed. But give me 1, not 2, not 3, 1 reason to fight Wardley. With all respect to this guy, with all the credits to him, but I'm thinking from Usyk's perspective. There is not even money is not the reason, because there is no money in their fight, unless a miracle happens and the magician comes by the helicopter with loads of money and distributes it, trying to gain boxing, to conquer the land of boxing and paying, I don't know, 50 million to Usyk, then it might make sense. Otherwise, why should he risk everything he gained for the last 13 years? 3-time undisputed. We spoke. You mentioned if he loses, people will remember his loss only.
From Usyk's perspective, fighting Wardley would be an unnecessary risk. A loss, no matter how competitive, could overshadow everything Usyk has achieved over the last decade. He pointed to Lennox Lewis as a perfect example, retiring as champion, undefeated in spirit. Usyk believes Usyk should do the same, stepping away with his health, family, and legacy intact. He also questioned whether Usyk, at 38 years old, still has the drive to endure another grueling training camp. The early mornings, the long hours, and the months spent away from his family, all for a fight that, in Usyk's view, doesn't offer enough reward. While he respects Wardley's rise and acknowledges his power and determination, he doesn't think the matchup brings enough prestige or financial upside to justify the risk.
It's better to leave 1 hour before than 2 minutes after. So I'm on the same page with many people who are thinking strategically. The status of Usyk being undisputed, being unbeaten, will stay with him till the end of his days, and live as the boxing legend, I don't know, maybe in the centuries.
Usyk's stance highlights the growing divided opinion around Usyk's future. On one hand, fans and promoters see Wardley as the next big challenge, a fresh, exciting opponent who could inject new energy into the heavyweight division. On the other hand, those closest to Usyk believe he's earned the right to walk away as the undefeated legend. The debate over what comes next for Usyk is heating up. Frank Warren wants the fight, Fabio Wardley is demanding it, and the WBO has already positioned it as mandatory. Fans are split between wanting to see one last chapter in Usyk's storied career and wanting to see him retire untouched at the top.
I read a book years ago called Sharks in Suits. I think it's about psychopaths. So it doesn't matter whether you're wearing a suit or you're working an office job, it's what's in your head. And there's a saying, not all psychopaths are murderers and not all murderers are psychopaths. So if you've got that kind of edge to you where you've got them kind of tendencies to like be able to distance yourself and then beat somebody up and then put yourself back in that normal role, well, that's all that's needed in boxing. You've got to be able to detach yourself a little bit from it. And the detachment sometimes comes from living a rough life, like on the streets and not having any parents look after you and having to bring yourself up and having to fight for survival. That kind of makes you be able to cut off from stuff, and it gives you that kind of edge. But that can also be done in different ways, not having that rough upbringing. So, you know, there's different ways to achieve it. Loads of rough kids off the streets who are violent and everything else, but they can't fight. So it's a combination of a lot of things. So, but we don't really know, do we, Fabio's true background.
What's clear is that Fabio Wardley has forced his way into the conversation. His win over Joseph Parker has turned heads across the boxing world, and even the most experienced names from Fury to Chisora to Allen are taking him seriously now. Whether he's ready to take on a generational talent like Usyk is still up for the debate, but one thing's certain, he's earned his shot. If the fight does happen in 2026, it would represent more than just another title defense for Usyk. It would be a passing of the torch moment, the unbeaten champion taking on the hungry, heavy-handed underdog who refuses to stop believing in himself. For Wardley, it's the ultimate opportunity to prove that power and persistence can overcome experience and technique. For Usyk, it could be the final test of his legendary career. Tyson Fury's words at the start of the story rang true now more than ever. Usyk may be a special fighter, perhaps one of the best of this generation, but Wardley's kind of power can rewrite history in a single punch. And if that punch lands, boxing's heavyweight throne could belong to a new king.